Who's doing it?
Alright, I'll do it.
Alright.
3, 2, 1, go. Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Super Meat Boy. The game came out.
1-1's a hard stage, dude. It's fun.
The game came out in 2010 for Xbox Live Arcade. Was later ported to PC a few months later. Kind of a big deal at the time. You might have heard of it. So, yeah, this is a really fun speedrun, so thank you all for watching. The category that you're seeing right now is any percent. Unlike a lot of other games, Meat Boy kind of bucks the convention of any percent being the absolute fastest category. So we have any percent and then any percent major glitches, which means that in this run you're not going to be seeing anything completely game breaking. Like there's a glitch where you can unfocus the game to basically face through every wall. We're not going to be doing that because who wants to subvert this amazing level design, right? And then there's a glitch where you can unlock the end from the forest. Screw that. Trust me, I've run categories of those. They're trash, don't do them. So something else you're going to notice is that we're going to be doing only 17 levels per chapter. You only need 17 to unlock the boss, and we only need to beat the boss to progress. So we're going to take what's generally the slowest 3 levels in the chapter and just not do them. Typically there's some sort of like ridiculous auto-scroller or something like that. It does take a little bit of time to exit back to the map and skip a level, which is it's an additional 3 to 3.5 seconds depending on your loading speed. So sometimes we play a longer level if it means we don't have to go back to the map, but in general we just skip the 3.
Alright. That was interesting.
In general we just skip the 3 longest levels. Now you've also probably noticed that they've been pausing a bit. Pausing, like, even though this is no major skips, there are still a few glitches that we use in the run. And pausing activates what is by far the most famous one. It's called the auto jump. So what happens is you hold jump and then you pause. And then you let go of jump and you unpause. And this game has some fairly questionable programming. No offense to the devs, I know you're watching.
Shout out to Tommy.
Yeah. But what happens is you confuse the game into thinking that you're both pressing and not pressing jump at the same time by doing that. And so the game's going to think, and it's going to think you're pressing jump every frame. And what it's going to do is it's going to think, okay, jump was not pressed last frame or last game time unit or whatever it is. That's true. But jump is being pressed this frame. That's also true. And so it's going to try to make you jump every single frame. And typically if you like use a turbo controller in some other game or whatever, that's on a 60 FPS game, that's going to be 30 Hz auto fire. On this game, you get 60 Hz, so this is objectively the strongest auto fire known to mankind. And I just kind of want to emphasize that because our game is that awesome. Now, auto jump, because walls, the boundaries of them are sometimes a bit fuzzy. Like, it's hard to explain without showing you some screenshots, but if you've ever like hit a wall and just slid up it instead of wall jumping off it or something like that, that's kind of what I'm referring to here. So auto jump sounds like it would be useful in a lot more spots than it actually is, because it's a little hard to control. And you tend to get those wall slides or hop slides, a less severe version of that. You get that a lot more often. And you also have the pause time to activate it, so it's not useful in every stage in the game. It did, however, used to not be used in the run, and I'll be talking a little bit more about that later. Something else that you're going to see is when you beat a level and progress to the next level, sometimes, well, not sometimes, always, the game's going to take a frame before it updates your state, the character state. So for instance, if you beat the game and, not beat the game, if you beat a level and you're on a wall or on the floor, the first frame of the next level, you're going to still be able to wall jump or jump off the floor or whatever. The game won't have updated that yet. So what you're going to see coming up very shortly on Wormham's screen is he's going to do an auto jump at the beginning of level, and he's going to actually start the level by jumping off of the air because it's still going to think that he's on the wall from the previous level. And that will let him get a really cool cycle skip that you just saw. Something else you may have noticed is that the game tracks keyboard inputs and controller inputs differently. There's a few more functions on keyboard than are available on controller. Both of these players are on controller.
No. A bit of menuing. Oh no, I did it twice!
Dude, it's fine. I died on Chad. You got time.
We are the top speedrunners, guys. Don't worry. It's under control.
They
We're
got this.
professionals. Quote unquote.
They got this.
Yeah, there we go. Okay. Go Fins.
Yeah, Chad is kind of hard.
Yeah, Chad's pretty tricky.
You have to get this key. Like, the strat isn't hard, but you have to be fairly precise to get that key and skip a cycle.
Uh-oh.
And you also have to wait a bit before getting the key at the end, or else Chad, like, you see how he speeds up at the end? If you get the keys too fast, he won't do that, and you'll lose like 5 seconds or so. So that wait there is intentional. Yeah, back to what I was saying before. When you beat a level, you know, like if you've played the game, you know how you have to hit A once to watch the replay and then hit A again. And that will move to the next level. There's a key on the keyboard, literally the letter A. You press that key and you don't have to watch the replay, you just go straight to the next level. So by doing that, we typically rebind, if you play on controller, we typically rebind with joystick key. But yeah, that saves 1 button press per level. The S key does the same thing, but for exiting back to the map. And there's also a W key that does it for replaying the level, but that's only useful in some of the glitch categories. So yeah, Factory has these really weird elevators, and you just saw this on Ham's screen, but if you jump into them, you can get some additional velocity off them, and they work. It also matters a little bit, I think. I'm not 100% sure because this game is really weird sometimes, but it matters a little bit how fast you're moving when you... Like if you're falling down them and then it pushes you back up, it matters a little bit how fast you're moving when you fall into them, even though it doesn't seem like it should. There's things like that. And there's also like a bunch of standard platform mechanics. Like you want to be falling when you go over an edge instead of just running off it, so that way you get the additional fall speed. Like things like that. There's a whole lot of things going on in this game. And it's kind of it's really an amazing speed game. It's an incredible rabbit hole. The record is pretty optimized, and even so, there's still at least 30 seconds worth of improvement that can be made on it, so... Like, all of
Shoutouts
us...
to Hambano.
Yeah, all of us... I think the player here with the least number of hours in the game got something like 500 on this couch.
Not counting Metal, who's still working on his first playthrough.
Sunday he'll beat the
Yeah.
game.
What?
I'm just playing you.
I've personally got a lot more than that. Ham has got a lot more than that too. I think Fins does as well. So, again, this game is an extremely hard speed run for a lot of those reasons. So you notice that we skipped stages 12 and 13 in Factory. That's because if you play stage 18, and the skip was not thought to be possible for a while, but if you play stage 18 and you get that skip first try, where you kind of auto jump into the key block as it disappears, Fins just went for it. Unfortunately did not get it, but if he would have gotten it, he would have saved 4 seconds over just doing stages 1 through 17 in this chapter straight through. So that's kind of the routing decisions that you have to make in this game. There's definitely a current of... There's definitely a current of execution to that. Now, Brownie Skip, if you look at the screen, at Fins' screen, Brownie Skip, you just saw that. What happens is, it looks really simple, but there's actually, if you go out of bounds and try to wall jump there normally, there's a death zone. So by toggling the run button, you can cut your jump velocity and stay just a little bit closer to the wall, which is enough to not die and make that skip, and it saves like 20 seconds. So that's the biggest skip in the game. Now, I haven't been going through level by level, and I'm going to try to do it here, and then you'll see why. So, I'm going to be concentrating primarily on Fins' screen because I can't watch both of them at the same time because they're both too good.
Yeah, alright.
Thanks, Warple.
Alright, so we've just seen 4-4 here, and 4-5, you have to hold right at the beginning here, because otherwise you can't make the cycle, and you gotta let go of run. You gotta let go of run when you make that final wall jump. Here you want to jump off the top square there because it lets you get more falling velocity. 4-7, there's not too much going on, it looks really impressive though. But 4-8, the beginning of the stage is really important because you have to get this really good, otherwise you can't make a cycle in the middle. Unfortunately, Fins did not quite get it, but...
What? That's my normal cycle. I'm just bad.
Vorpal here is known as the level optimizer. He goes for crazy strats in his runs
And that's
'Cause
why I
he's-
always die.
because he's crazy.
410, that jump into the center there is, you can't just hold jump and make it, and you can't go too fast as well. So you've got a lot of time in the previous portion of the level where you're waiting on the platform, so it's really easy to psych yourself up and then do an input that's like 1 frame off and bonk and die or miss it or something like that. 413, you're going to be seeing auto jump up this final corridor, and that saves more time than it looks like it will. On 414, the laser skips are pretty cool.
Because I missed one.
Dude, it's the commentator's curse. I'm sorry, Vince. On 15, you want to have some pretty precise jumps to manipulate that, like, charging Hellmouth thing to go where you want. We typically call them chompers or whatever. On 17, you actually want to slow down a bit so that you make the cycle, because otherwise you won't be able to do it.
So if
Yeah,
we
like-
say like those laser skips, is it like Meat Boy's hitbox that is smaller than it looks like, or those laser hitbox smaller than they look like?
They're pretty small, but the thing with the lasers is that they rubber band after you, so the closer you are to them, the slower they move. So if you jump closer to them, it will start moving slower, and you'll get more time than it looks like you might if you're not too familiar with how they work. A Little Horn, hardest boss in the game.
Yo, quick.
Do it.
Alright, because this is an auto-scroller, I'm going to need everyone in the stream room. We're going to take a selfie real quick.
Let's do it, films.
Oh god.
The selfie.
Here we
stick.
go.
Oh, no.
Did you get it?
Yeah, alright, I got like 3. Nice, dude.
All right.
Beautiful. The cutscene for Little Horn, when you beat him, if you cancel the cutscene fast, it doesn't fully cancel, so the white flash from the cutscene is going to persist into the next stage. And the next stage is pretty, like, the cycle that you get on it is pretty heavily based on how well you do that quick drop, and you got to do it mostly blind, so you see a lot of variation here.
Oh, I didn't know that that was why the screen was white in this first level.
Yeah, you see it on the Larry cutscene as well. Larry is the boss of this chapter, but 6-1, the beginning of 6-1 matters a lot less, so you never see anyone complaining about that particular cutscene skip. Yeah, that was kind of, like, that description hell was kind of why I've been commentating this game is honestly really hard, because there's so much going on in this game at all points that, like, it's impossible to do a level-by-level description of everything that's going on. I tried, I couldn't do it. I apologize, but...
That was a thorough job, Vorpal. Thank you. It's tough to give a play-by-play for a game that's like this fast-paced.
Yeah, like, there's so many levels that come at you all at once. And everything in this game is... Like those repulses, everything is just really good at killing you, so...
I mean, this is one of those kinds of games that just goes like, how many ways can we kill the player in a single level? 1001 Spikes tries to, throw spikes out of the ground and, throw darts at you. This one puts saw blades in your path. And then, as we'll see, like on Warm Ham Scream, it'll throw Meat Boy-like zombie-like creatures. I don't know what their official name is. And they are somewhat patterned, but they're mostly RNG. Sometimes they will follow your movements. Sometimes they'll just stay put for a little longer and won't trigger as possibly naturally as they should.
Yeah, you can give them opportunities to make the movements that you want, but whether or not they do them is pretty much RNG. Like, more about them is RNG than people would think. Like, their movement speed varies a little, whether they jump when you jump as well, which lets them aggro on you from a longer range, like stuff like that. They're not a huge deal, but definitely something that sometimes prevents you from doing the fastest path through 5-9.
All right,
Sometimes
so
you gotta-
Warm Ham just did a very important skip there. He jumped over that warp zone, and I know that runs have been lost on that warp zone if you accidentally jump into it. Isn't that true, Vorpal?
Oh yes.
There
Very much so.
have also been runs that someone who won't be named is PB'd by getting Sunshine Island. That was me.
That was a good run, man.
Legendary.
This 513 is a mess.
You got this.
All right, so the boss of this chapter is coming up, and the boss of this chapter is, like, when people complain about RNG in this game, this boss is why. So he consists of 3 worms that are gonna hopefully pop out of the ground and jump at you, and if you get off to the left of the arena, they'll jump at the saws and die. And they don't always do that. So the chance that they jump on the first cycle is 1/2 for each of them, and that's cool. But then after that, they unlock an additional attack, and the chance drops. And then by the 3rd time, when there's only 1 worm left, you've got a 1/4 chance that they jump. And it's seeded based on, I believe, not 100% sure, but I believe it's seeded on the system time milliseconds when you enter the level. So there's no way that you can manipulate it. And at the end, there's going to be a 1/4 chance that the level ends for you. And if you don't get that, then you're going to be waiting there, and you could possibly be waiting for quite a while. I believe my personal best for this level is something like 2 minutes. So the fastest that you can get here is a 3 cycle. And this can decide a lot of races, unfortunately, so it's still anyone's game.
Yeah, Larry is known as the biggest troll in Meat Boy speedrunning. You basically have to pray to the RNG gods for Larry
I'm
to
so
allow
sorry.
you. For Larry to
Yeah, we have a race though. This is
be
close.
nice to give you a PB.
We in there.
Because
That
you
was
can
all-
get something
all skill.
like
This is still pretty close.
a 3 cycle, or what's like the highest cycle people have gotten? Something around
Like
20?
60.
60?
Something ridiculous like that.
You can even get like a 2.5 cycle, but that's really, really rare.
You're kidding me, 60?
Allegedly. Not like we have a leaderboard for that. We should though.
I'm
Get on that
surprised you
ham.
don't. That sounds like top quality meme leaderboard territory.
Perfect miss category.
Almost as good as like 1-1 alternating wall jumps.
Yeah, this game has had an extremely extensive history for speedrunning. I believe if you look at speedrun.com, we're in the top 10 for number of players, which is really, really awesome because this is an extremely great speed game, regardless of everything I've been saying about it for the past 20 minutes.
Every game has their quirks. This one, given how difficult it is, and given how complex the movement is, and how much control you have over Meat Boy,
This is optimal. Yeah. nailed
it's
it.
just a very difficult game to optimize. Because there's so many different variables you control, and so much you control about how you move, just with stick position, like how far you're pressing from one direction to the other. It's just crazy.
I just ate it on 6-5 Fims.
Dude, good.
This is your chance.
I don't know.
Oh my god.
I'm playing pretty questionably.
You guys got this.
This is where runs go to die, if they haven't already died in Rapture. This stage. There we go.
Nice. Key skid. And now Wormham is going to the final boss, Dr. Fetus. Dr. Fetus shoots a gun at you, and it's basically an auto-scroller to the end. And it's supposed to be harder because you're supposed to stay behind that slow-moving wall of saw blades. Except if you're fast enough, you can just jump over it and then get to the end of the level. And then you're just kind of waiting for Fetus to catch up. And
No way, dude. Alright, that's fine. Alright, let's go.
and you can get to the end of the level, but if you recall, the saw blade is still gonna come at you even when you get to the end of the level. But there's some convenient quirk about the game, and that's if you could explain that, Vorpal, with the
Yeah.
buttons.
We just get to sit and wait on the button, and the saw will pass right over us. The button, because we're on the button, we're interacting with the button, and the saw won't register. We're not invincible to everything, but we're invincible to the saw. Neither of these players are going to do it, but if you were to stand, when you get to the button, if you were to stand on the very left when Fetus shoots a rocket, the rocket would still kill us. So
That's a really impressive setup you got there, Ham.
Yeah, this is auto jumping at its finest. I just have to make sure I land on the button, otherwise the saws will get me. There we go. All right. Time's coming up when I go off screen at the end.
The ending sequence here is kind of weird because you get like 40 seconds of doing nothing to psych yourself up for it. And then you have I think Ham's going to go for it. There's a moderately hard skip, right? Oh, he missed it, but
Gonna play it
he
safe.
saved it. He saved it.
After that fetus, I'm not taking any chances.
All right, and time is
time.
now.
Thanks. Finish strong, Fims. You got this.
It's a very questionable run.
Let's see fast escape right now. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm
Oh
sure
my
Uber
God.
would be happy.
Oh,
Okay.
you got it.
You got this, dude. Bandage Girl believes in you.
No pressure.
Gotta save your girlfriend.
That feel win, no Geo.
And that's time for Fims.
And that's Super Meat Boy, everyone.
Thanks for watching, guys. Shouts out to a bunch of people in the Super Meat Boy Discord.
Yeah, definitely shout out to the community because I'm pretty sure both of us getting here was pretty much all the community is doing. Raised a lot of money to get us here.
Yeah.
Shout out to Camel for submitting for me when I forgot to submit and was at work. So he's kind of the reason this run happened.
Touched it out.